Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we are going to take our first steps to reading and comprehending music notation. For thousands of years, people from all cultures passed down music orally. And for the longest time, this was good enough way of going about things. But then around 1000 AD, there was a disturbance in the force, manifesting itself into a man by the name of Guido d'Arezzo. You see, Guido was tired of how long it would take for the singers at the Pomposa Abbey to memorize music by ear. Thus, Guido devised what we refer to as the staff, a set of 5 horizontal lines and 4 spaces that each represent a different musical pitch. Now, before proceeding any further, I want to break this down from 5 lines to just 1 so we can fully understand the concept as clearly as possible. Right here I have a whiteboard, and we're going to start with drawing a line. So, there is a line. We can call this line whatever we want. Let's say this line is the note C. I can put a C on there, and thus this note is C. There are 3 positions that you can put a note on just one line. You can put it on the line, you can have it sitting above the line, or you can have it sitting below the line. And thus we have the notes C, D, and B. We can change what we call this line. For example, let's change it to A. And now this first note is the note A, the one above it is the note B, and the one below it is the note G. Please keep in mind that there's only 7 letters that we use to represent note names on the staff and in music. When you reach G, you repeat the cycle. You start back at A again. So with this in mind, let's do a couple of exercises, and I'm going to have you pause the video and I want you to figure out what notes they are. Go ahead and pause the video. What notes are they? So the notes are C, D, and E. The notes themselves haven't moved, but I have changed what we call the line. The line is now F. So pause the video and figure out what these notes are. The notes are E, F, and G. Let's do one more. This time, the line note is B. And once again, pause the video and tell me what notes these 3 are. The notes are A, B, and C. So with all of this in mind, you notice that we are only limited to 3 notes with this system. What we can do is we can expand this system. So for example, this note's going to be A, B, and our top note is C. But I want to write a D. What do you think I'll need to do? I'll need to add another line. And then I'm able to write D and E. I can add 2 more notes. I want to keep going. What do you think I need to do? I'll need to add another line. And then I can add 2 more notes. And we can continue this pattern upwards. And we can just keep going crazy. Add lines up here, and we can extend the staff out forever. We can also add lines below, right? We can go like this. And just add as many lines as we need to fill in all the space. Oh, okay, wait, something's not right here. I think I made a mistake. Music doesn't look like this. Why does music not look like this? You know what it is? It's confusing now. So, here's what Guido did. Guido said, okay, I'm onto something. But we're not going to use a million bazillion lines because that would get confusing. So instead, we just use 5 lines. And with that, let me transition over to my computer screen. All right, so in front of you, you will see a 5-line staff. Now, the staff is the foundation upon which notes are drawn. The modern staff comprises of 5 lines and 4 spaces, respectively. Every line or space on the staff represents a white key on the keyboard. You can think of it like this. Clefs assign individual notes to certain lines or spaces. 2 clefs are normally used, the treble and the bass clef. These clefs give us what we call a reference note. First, we will start with the treble clef, also called the G clef. The staff line which the clef wraps around, shown in red, is known as G. Any note placed on this line becomes G. The note on the space above G is A. And just as a reminder, there is no H note. The notes on the line above A is B, and etc., etc. B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now, here's what happens. If we run out of notes on the lines, remember what we had to do before? We had to add another line, add another line. Well, I wasn't kidding. We do, in fact, write other lines, but we don't draw big giant lines. Instead, we draw ledger lines, and they look like this. They are basically extensions of the staff, except they're not big giant lines. We make them tiny little lines, so it's easier to read. Okay, let's go into the bass clef. The bass clef is called the F clef, and that's because the staff line is between the 2 dots of the clef. You can also see the little blob in the clef itself that also sits on the F line. And likewise, that note's going to be F, and we can fill in all the rest of the notes as such. It works the same way as treble and bass clef. Finally, we will discuss the grand staff, a theoretical staff consisting of 11 lines. And this is going to be the staff that if you're going to read piano music, you're going to come across quite a lot. In fact, this is the staff that you're going to be reading all the time. Watch what happens when we eliminate the middle line. We end up with 2 regular staffs. By adding a treble at the top of the staff and a bass clef at the bottom of the staff, we can see the relationship between the 2 staves. Notice how the 2 clefs are joined by the C, shown in red. This is commonly called middle C since it corresponds to the middle staff line on the grand staff. And with that will conclude today's lesson. Lesson 2, we will do note duration and note values. Please like and subscribe if you found this video useful. And until next time, take care.